Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me today. Today, my friends, we are going to continue with the design series. And in this video, I want to do a demonstration and breakdown of one of my favorite design exercises is to draw heads from life. So we're going to focus on heads today. In the last video, the we focused on figure drawing, so make sure to review that. Today we're going to look at heads, and we're going to try to replicate a life drawing. So over here on the left, we're going to draw from New Masters Academy, Daily Life Drawing. Beautiful reference. And we're going to have time poses. And here on the right, I believe this was a 5-minute pose that I did recently from life, just to show you an example. So that's what we're going to do, my friends. I'm going to break down how I use drawing from life, from the model, to practice my design when head drawing. So if you want to improve your portraits, you want to make your portraits feel lifelike, feel more dynamic, and even feel more three-dimensional, we might get into a little bit of shading. This is going to be a great exercise for you as well. It's my favorite exercise. And yeah, so let's begin. Thank you for joining me. Before we begin, I just want to quickly shout out my website here. If you like this video, if you like my work, and you want more head drawing resources, you want more life drawing resources, you can even download a free preview of my life drawing book. All you have to do is go to my website, www.drawwithchris.com, and there you can enter your email and you'll be signed up for my free newsletter, as well as getting access to many, many wonderful free resources. So go to www.drawwithchris.com, my friends. Okay, just want to quickly talk about materials. So today I'm going to use Bristol hot press, very smooth, very bright Bristol. Normally I would use smooth newsprint. That's what I recommend if you're going to the life drawing. But today I couldn't find my newsprint. I couldn't find my newsprint, and I wanted to do some nicer paper today. So in case these drawings can be framed potentially later, or potentially in a show, or collected. Shout out to my collectors out there. And the pencils I have are needlepoint sharpened. These are both pastel. This is my favorite life drawing pencil. It's the Stabilo Carbothello Black Pastel. And this is another pastel that I found over here in Asia, where I'm currently at. And this is a Derwent pastel. This is like a nice earthy dark brown. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Very similar. So that's what we'll be using today. Needlepoint will give you lots of flexibility. And of course, kneaded eraser. And for our life drawing, we're going to use New Masters Academy Figure Drawing Session Andrea. So head on over to New Masters Academy YouTube channel if you want to follow along. It's New Masters. It's called NMA Figure Drawing Session Andrea. And I'm sure it'll be in the comments or description somewhere. We got a lot of glare today. Okay, so just like last time, what you see here are my game plan notes from the previous life drawing exercise, so definitely review that. So my game plan for heads and portraits today. I just like to come to the practice table with a plan. And I always recommend that when you come to the practice table, practice session, your drawing time, come with a goal, with an intention. That way your practice is more refined and more effective. So for me, we're going to do life drawing. We're going to focus on the heads. The number one thing I want to work on and see is position. So how can we use design to communicate the position in 3D space? Very important. Talk about that all the time. Also, I want to get nice shape, contour, head type. So we'll see if I can design nice shapes. So that's also design. And finally, the one thing I want to do is see if I can communicate planes. Well, two things, planes and suggest detail using design, using intelligent marks. And a lot of this we will need tone. So in the later poses, maybe the 5 or 10 minute poses, we'll get to the tone and the shading stuff that everybody likes to see. So make sure to stay at the end of the video. We'll get to that sexy shading stuff that everybody likes. So that's my game plan. Let's begin. All right, we're going to start. All right, we're going to start with the 2 minute pose here, just to get a little bit of warm up, see how far we can get. I probably won't get far because I'm always talking. So action, thinking about shape. Placing the neck. Center line, probably running out of time here. Let me pause here real quick. So this is what I call the crosshairs, vertical center, horizontal center. If you have my life drawing book, if you've taken my classes, or maybe you've seen me on NMA, New Masters Academy, you know I talk about this all the time. Now, it looks so insignificant, like, oh, I just draw 2 lines, Chris, I can do that. But there is subtlety here. Number one, this line, number one, the angle. So you saw me do it in one stroke. That's because, I have a lot of practice. But the angle has to be correct. This angle has to be correct. It has to be a perfect 90 degrees. And notice when I draw this mark, I don't make it straight. It has a little bit of a whoop. See, it has a subtle curve. That is conscious, my friends, because even though I know at this stage a straight will work, because what I really need, I just need to indicate where the position of the eyes will be, the center of the eyes. But that little curve is just enough for me to think about this as a fundamental design line. Remember, in figure drawing, we talk about that, how one mark can be a design line that you can build on. So that's what I'm doing here. So anyway, these have to be right. I'm just looking at this. I know it's pretty close. If these are off, the whole drawing was off. And also, I want to note too the position. So he is, yeah, he's pretty much straight at us. It's the subtle 3/4. There's a little bit more left and right. So I have to note the position of this. If it's too far over, it'll look wrong. If it's too far to the right, it'll look wrong. So the position of the line, the angle, has to be absolutely perfect. Okay, let's continue. don't think I have much time left. I won't get to any detail really. Or anything specific. But right away, this position feels pretty good. It could use some nuance, so I'm going to do that now. Really what I'm doing now is refining the shape and the nature. He's kind of got a squarish, blocky head. So I'm doing that now. And using all pretty much line marks. And it looks like we're running out of time here. So not much time for the 2 minute. Let's look at this pose here. Let's see if we can even see his face. Yeah, we can. Let's do one more 2 minute with this pose. Let's see what we can see here. It's pretty cool. Okay, so this is, I believe, it's another 2 minute. I think the stream went down. Hopefully the stream is back up there. Sorry about that. Okay, let me pause for a minute here. So this is pretty important. Number one, you saw the beautiful sailboat shape that Steve calls it. Then I turned it into a more of a blocky shape just to capture the essence of the head. Then you saw me find the jaw, relate to the jaw, to the center line to locate the ear. Vertical center we can't see, obviously, it's in side view, but we can't see horizontal center. So quickly check my proportions. Now this is design right here. Notice that we have brows, obviously, right? We have a brow socket. So what I'm going to do is I just draw a kind of a blocky shape that kind of resembles the eye socket, following a little bit of the hair, underplane of the eye socket. And so that's my initial shape to suggest the eye. It's a design shape that I can build upon. That's all it is. But you notice the shape, because the shape is designed well, it feels like an eye socket. And the moment I do this, draw a sphere, then you immediately know, okay, that looks like an eye to me. Even a layperson would see that. So you see a little ball and a little rectangle can communicate a whole lot of stuff. And that is what design is all about, my friends. Another note is this angle of the nose has to be correct. Just by making this length and angle, this line right here, by making it the correct angle, the correct length, and the correct relationship to the socket, I can get a bit of a likeness on his nose. And watch this. By doing this, see this little triangle shape? I normally don't make it that dark, but you see the shape, this little triangle? I'm suggesting underplane. So this is telling me that, okay, I will eventually have to communicate the underplane of his nose. So it's a subtle read. It's a subtle design read that it's an underplane. And then look at this, the curve. Look how, I know it's two lines, but it communicates a mouth. You see how beautifully two lines. That's design, my friends. Now this is construction shorthand, obviously, but already we got a lot of read. So this is why I'm making this series, because when I see it, I understand it, but when I see it in action, I'm like, wow, it's actually quite effective. You see how how much we communicate with just one shape, two shape, one, two, three lines in a shape, two lines. We get a lot done. And imagine if we kept building up the drawing and continue to carefully design our shapes and our masses as we go. Wow. So you see how it just quickly adds up, and now but the base is already very well designed. So let's keep going. And also here, the shape of the opening of his hairline. I'm looking at that shape and I'm trying my best to match the distances. So that helps me to get a better accurate hairline. And then now that I have the hairline, I can reevaluate the ear and stuff. Okay, we're out of time. Out of time here. Let's see what's next. Hopefully we get a nice headshot here. Looks like we won't. We will. Oh, we will. Good. So I believe this is a 5-minute pose. It is. Okay, next pose. 5-minute pose. Let's see what we could get here. Let's see how we can design, how we can learn, what we can do. So already my shape, the angle of my shape is off. I can already feel it. I just needed to see that there so I can see. I needed to define my hairline. Then I'll come in here and do this stuff. Forgot to put vertical center. Let's try that now. This chiaroscuro is so beautiful and so clear. I can almost start shading now, but we'll get there in a minute. Let me see what I can do with construction here. Relating the cheeks to each other. I talked about that in previous videos in this series. Make sure to review that. Muzzle, opening, simple shape for the lip construction. Simple shape for the lower lip and a bit of shadow indication. And he's all in shadow here. This is great. So if we have time, we'll do that sexy shading stuff that everybody likes. But right now my drawing is a bit off. Well, he's also moving, but that's not a good excuse. Yeah, life drawing teaches, the biggest lesson I got from life drawing is it taught me exactly this, sort of this short, I call it shorthand. It's sort of like abbreviated writing, simplified writing, but it's simplified visual shorthand. And basically doing more with a lot less. So we got a pretty decent construction here. Cheeks are both related. Let's start with some tone. But let me pause here. Sorry, I wanted to make sure that my shape is good and that my contour is clear. So right now, this contour is pretty clear. There's a bump here. I have a subtle hint of it at the brow. This cheek is pretty clear. This angle, this is important. This is a shape. This is a 2D graphic shape. I have on my model a clear left side contour that's in light, that's very clear. So I can use that to refine my construction. Just want to make sure that we're pretty close. I can refine the angle of the nose now. We have a little bit of time. Well, actually, the timer should be running, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I move on. I just wanted to mention that this this outer contour line in light has to be designed and drawn well. That bump has to be in the right place. You know, we can do thick or thin. I won't be able to do it now, but we talked about thick or thin, the importance of that. So that would be great there. On this side, it's all in shadow, so it's kind of going to obscure in the shadow. So let's keep going. Pause here. So the shadow shape is very clear, obviously. Shadow shape is very clear. But I want to make sure I'm doing a good job. So notice this cheek, the angle is not quite right. So I'm going to stop here and just check. The top is pretty good. It lines up nicely, but then this taper is just doesn't feel right, and the connection to the mouth doesn't feel right. There it is. So that was subtle. That helped a lot. And that really communicated the position more. So now you feel like there's a box here, and then there's some kind of round bony thing here, which is exactly what we want. And then this angle can be refined a little bit. I dug into it. And then this corner, obviously. Notice when I draw this corner, I draw it as a curve. And notice the curve will follow right here, follow the back of the head into the neck. So it's a natural organic rhythm. And that's about it. Let's keep going. We're probably going to run out of time soon. Mass in the tone. And I'll probably run out of time pretty soon. Man, this is nice smooth paper, but nothing beats Bristol smooth newsprint. I just wish it was archival, for goodness sake. And then mass in the tone. I want to stop here and go back. I want to talk about something before we end the video here, or before this pose. I'm pretty sure I would have got here organically if I wasn't talking. But anyway, how do we suggest detail in the shadow. Remember, we don't want to draw. This series is about design. So how can we use design to communicate an eye, Chris? Watch this. So we gotta make sure it's in the right place, right alignment relative to the ear. So we have that. And we have a nice even mass. The mass is okay. It's not the prettiest mass, but it's not the ugliest mass. My tone mass. It's okay. It works. It's pretty even. Now, basically the tone mass, we have the white of the paper and we have the tone mass value. Now what I'm going to do is this, the dark accent, into the eye. So watch this. And I'm basically scumbling. I'm not making like that. I'm using the side to scumble. This is called scumbling. It's a painting term. Just kind of roughly ghosting in an eye. And because I'm putting a little bit of pressure, it will appear darker. And you see, that's basically it. And I know it's not the best illusion. Hopefully you can see it on camera. But that's about it. You see, just a little bit of suggestion to suggest a shadow, eye in shadow. And we can keep going, but typically I find that um, the less of an eye you draw, the more realistic it looks. I'm going to repeat that. The less of the eye you draw, the more realistic it looks. I know it sounds crazy, but really, eyes are the actual eyeballs. They're inside a hole in your head, so they're always kind of in this kind of murky shadow. They're always going to be in shadow, and then your eyes are constantly moving. The only reason why, as artists, we make them, we over render them or overwork them is because it's important to us in human psychology. Obviously, in human psychology, the face is the most important thing in a human being, and on the face, the eyes are the most important. So it is the most, arguably visually, the most important part of a realistic work of art when you're drawing a human being. So that's why we put so much importance on the eyes, and then we tend to overwork them, over render them, add way too much detail instead of just suggesting. So that's an example of suggesting detail to get the eye. And here I'm suggesting a little bit of tone gradation, a little bit of scumbling some tone to suggest the chin. And watch, I'm not going to leave it here. I need to go to the ear. So I'm just going to scumble, 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 scumble. And I'm going like this. Scumble, 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 right? I'm drawing a line, but not a hard line. I'm going like that, you see? That is mark design, tonal design, whatever you want to call it. That's being very deliberate with my marks to suggest what I want to suggest, which is a jawline in shadow. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, one more 5-minute pose here. Let's see what we can get here. So lately I've been experimenting with different papers for life drawing, and I've just been nothing but disappointed because the way smooth newsprint looks is so cool and so creamy. It's just hard to find a replacement. So vertical and horizontal center, let me do a quick check. Obviously my angle is not quite correct. Is it? Okay, that angle's correct. This angle's not correct. Okay, so there's a curve here. So I've designed a curve. That's design right there. Careful mark making. Careful, deliberate mark making. Brow line. Make sure they relate. Ball of the eye. Just draw as a ball. Okay, so you can already see some proportional problems here. Cheeks. Muzzle. Mouth is too wide. Might be a little too low too. Lock the ear in place. I have a feeling I'm going to run out of time. Hairline and back of skull. Hairline relative to the socket, judging the shape. Hairline relative to the size and shape of the forehead, relative to the brow line. Mine's a little too high, I feel. Yep, it is. Damn. This thing is... oops. There it is. My brow line was way too high. Something I constantly have to check myself. I tend to make my faces long. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let me pause here real quick. So remember we talked about rhythms in design. Notice how this rhythm flows from the head over to the cheek and then down like that. You see that beautiful curve? And of course we have to mirror it on the other side. So I'm looking at the little bump on his head, making sure it's kind of lined up. This, because this is in light, I will have to use a highlight here. Actually, the highlight is what's lined up here. Not, well, we can't see a down plane, but I'm just drawing it there. So that gives me a rough note of the width. And let's see. So the shape is kind of wrong now. He might have moved a little bit, but yeah, he did move. That's okay. It's not a good excuse. Nuance the shape here. Make sure it's good. The proportion feels a little off. I think because the hair looks flat. So watch this. I'm just going to do this just to remind myself that the hair is going to go back. There you go. So it's starting to look a bit more like him now in terms of the head shape. And then obvious overlapping here. This is simple. On the shoulder. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the rest I can do with tone. Let's keep going. And almost almost sure I'm going to run out of time. Tonal shape now. Notice I'm drawing with the side, but it does help a little bit, not necessary. As long as you can make a soft-ish mark, should be enough. Hard mark for a cast shadow and the lip. Oh, we ran out of time. Ran out of time. Let me just finish the shape, and then we'll close the video here. Beautiful contour we could design there. And we'll get to it. Here's some cool design. Notice this curve right here. Notice how that feels like a shoulder. Isn't that crazy? That when you see this, you go, oh, I'm assuming that's the shoulder, but it's just one curve. It's a shape and a curve. Isn't that crazy? That's the power of design right there. Notice here, up here, I quite a kind of softish mark, and not worrying too much about the detail, just kind of scumble. So that's mark making. You know, instead of going like that very aggressively, I scumble. Boop, 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 boop. That's just one way to do it. It's a painterly way to draw. So it kind of, what it does is it suggests detail. If I do scumbling, it suggests little small bumps in the skin and stuff, and veins and whatever. And then a little bump here. Simplify, cast shadow. Look at the eye. Look how simple and designed that eye is. It's beautiful. This whole shadow mass. And that's really about it. So I'm just going to fill this mass. And then we can close the video here. Yeah, this carpet is nice. I'm going to do a little thing there. That's just to suggest a and there you go. Obviously, we got to erase that. And that is pretty much it, my friends. we are done with this particular demonstration. Hair shape. Look at the hair shape. So this is a thing in design that I see a lot, is that the hair shape is not drawn or designed correctly. The shape of the hair relative to this zone from the brow to the hairline. So notice, mine can use some refinement. That's what I'm doing now. So a lot of times I'll see students that do wonderful here, here, and here, and then they'll do a sloppy hairline, and it just ruins the whole thing. So don't do that. Here's a cool design technique to suggest hair. So notice the hair has a nice mass. Scumble the hairline, and then whoop, 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 whoop. Add a couple of these little straights, little hard lines with the point of your pencil, and you'll suggest hair. We can do the same thing with the brow, but we don't need to. And notice how pretty this eye looks. Obviously it's all in shadow, but to me it's quite clear. It's very clear. That eye reads as an eye, and that's good. Beautiful shape design and beautiful values and nice clean mass, and then beautiful use of edges. So this is the edge is sharper here. That's the underside of the eyelid. This is a wrinkle, a fold, so a little bit sharper there, but everything else kind of ghosty and softish under the eye here. We can continue this down here. That little, continue to draw the orbicularis oris muscles and things in that zone. And then of course, if we add halftone, then we can get this highlight right here, and that will lead down and also lead over here. So that is pretty much it, my friends. Thank you for joining me today. I think we're done here. Yeah, we're done here. We don't need to add too much detail. And notice the side of the mouth too. Side of the mouth, pretty sharp, firm and sharp on the top, kind of sharp in between. So this is a bit of a cast shadow. It's an occlusion shadow, two lips touching. It's really sharp. I want to make note of the angle. The angle of the corner of the mouth and the brow can make or break your likeness, so it has to be correct. So make sure the angle is correct, the width is correct, and watch this. So I put a little sharpish dark accent here at the corner of the mouth, and then I'm going to smudge some tone like this. I'm going to scumble a little bit of tone, and you can go like that. And now you see how it suggests the corner of the mouth nicely. There's bits of anatomy there. So that was a real cool, simple way to get that read. Sharpen up the cast shadow, add dark accents, and then we can continue to develop as we go. Sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. Reinforce that cast shadow. Refine here, 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 and there. Well, that's a good stopping point, my friends. I already said that. And I want to quickly just show you a little bit of tone before we go. I know I said I was going to go, but a little bit of tone right here to suggest fall off and the underside of this muzzle form. It's just a touch of tone. It's not necessary. It's like a light half tone. And I could blend it or just leave it at that. Just a subtle hint that there's fall off and there's light there. So that's pretty cool. That's more tonal design, and beautiful gradation obviously really helps to sell it. And I could do the same thing with his mustache hair, a little bit here. See, we need some of these details, right? But instead of using the point, I'm using a tonal mark. I'm doing this little smudgy, scumbly little mark like that, and that's enough. Or I could blend it with my finger or whatever you like to use to blend. Since this is really a study, we're not trying to do a finished drawing here. We're just studying design and head drawing at the same time, and looks like we are doing okay. All right, my friends, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. If you like this video and you like my work and you want more head drawing resources, more shading resources, more design and composition resources, make sure to check out my website at www.drawwithchris.com. And there you can see, sign up for my free newsletter. You can get access to all sorts of resources, references. I started writing a newsletter again, so you'll get some of my deepest insights and pro tips. And all that's available for free, my friends. So go to www.drawwithchris.com, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.